This is the Catch a Break podcast, the insider's guide to breaking into and navigating the entertainment industry. I'm Julie Harris Oliver. You can find us at catchabreakpodcast.com and all the social media places at Catch a Break Pod, as well as all the podcast places. The presenting sponsor of Season 4 of Catch a Break is Santa Clarita Studios, a full-service independent studio featuring 35 sound stages, an amazing new backlot featuring a New York and LA downtown street with interiors and an alley, fully furnished production office space, and suite-style executive offices along with post-production space. Dedicated to providing an attentive and personally tailored experience for all of their clients, Santa Clarita Studios offers rentals and services to meet any need, any budget. Find them at santaclaritastudios.com. This season is going to be such a special treat, and I realize that I am totally biased, but this is particularly fun for me and hopefully for you too. This is going to be the Project Greenlight season. Hopefully, as a listener of this show, you are also aware of the show Project Greenlight. And if not, go watch it now on Max. Project Greenlight is a docufollow show of the making of an independent film by an emerging director. Well, lucky us, one of our founders, Jeanette Volturno, was a producer on this season of the film inside of Project Greenlight called Gray Matter, along with her producing partner and new friend of Catch a Break, but old friend to all of us, Yolanda Cochran. This has given us a front row seat to the behind the scenes of the behind the scenes and all the things the show didn't show. Very meta. So speaking of Max, what I watch depends a lot on what kind of mood I'm in. It's similar to how I feel about music. I love all kinds of music, but sometimes I'm in the mood for something like 80s rock, and others maybe reggae or jazz or let's be honest, show tunes. It really just depends. The same goes for what I like to stream. Sometimes I'm in the mood for drama, or my go-to superhero movies like The Batman or Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Some days I'm into home renovation like Fixer Upper, Welcome Home, or Hometown. Then an hour later I may crave some comedy like the HBO original Veep or Curb Your Enthusiasm or Big Bang Theory. And if I'm watching with my family, we love the classics like the Max original Sesame Street and the new Gremlins, Secrets of the Mogwai. Well, Max is my streaming destination with something for every mood I'm in, anytime. Plans start as little as $9.99 a month. Max, the one to watch. Subscription required. Visit max.com. Okay, back to this podcast. These episodes are not directly tied to the series episodes, so you can binge both in no particular order, and we just can't be worried about any spoilers because it's all out there. Listen at your own risk. For this opening episode, speaking of spoilers, I sat down with the director of Gray Matter. I'm pausing in case you want to go watch the first episode before you listen. Pause and come back if you need to. Okay, you ready? I sat down with the director, Miko Winbush, along with the producers Jeanette and Yolanda. They talk about what it was like to work on this film with cameras in their faces, the challenges of making an indie film, and what they are most proud of through this process. Settle in, have a listen. Welcome to Catch a Break. Today we have Jeanette Volturno, who you must have heard several times on this podcast, and if you haven't, go back and listen to all the seasons. She's a co-founder of Catchlight Studio. She's worked on over 60 feature films, including the Academy Award-winning pictures Whiplash and Get Out. Jeanette most recently served as the producer of The Aviary and Songbird, the first film to shoot in Los Angeles during the COVID-19 lockdown, as well as the upcoming film Poker Face. Jeanette has also executive produced numerous films, including Look Both Ways, Amma, and Night Books. Prior to this role, Jeanette worked as a line producer on the hugely successful Paranormal Activity and Insidious franchises, which laid the foundation for Blumhouse's success. Hello, Jeanette.
Hi, Julie.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We also have Yolanda Cochran, Executive Vice President of Production at Nuts and Bolts, a division of Catchlight Studios. Yolanda's producing credits include The Book of Eli, Dolphin Tale 1 and 2, Something Borrowed, Joyful Noise, Lottery Ticket, Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants 2, Beautiful Creatures, Point Break, and The Blind Side. The former CPA is a member of the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences, serving on the Board Governance Committee, as well as the Television Academy of Arts and Sciences and the Board of Directors of the Producers Guild of America. Welcome, Yolanda.
Hello, people.
Hello. And we also have Miko Winbush. Miko Winbush is an LA native. She attended Occidental College and graduated with a BA in Art History and the Visual Arts. After college, she pursued a career in film trailer editing, while also honing her craft as a writer in her free time. Over the past decade, she has edited film trailers for all major studios and streaming platforms. She's best known for her Conjuring teaser, Hide and Clap. A desire to be creative outside of the trailer industry led her to writing and directing several short films. She's an avid photographer and she hates spiders. Welcome to my spider free. And also, we should say she was the director of Gray Matter.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
All right, here's how we start on this podcast. We say, what was your first job and how did you get it? Jeanette, I think you've answered this question 8 times on this show. So do you have a new job you wanted to talk about? Or a new early job?
A new early job. I did a lot of craft service for music videos back in the heyday of music videos. I would be meticulous with food. It would be making plays and trays and walking up into the catwalks to hand the people up in the catwalks food and drink who couldn't come down to the craft service table. So food is important to me. Yeah. You better have good food on set.
Jeanette's all about the food.
Not to brag, but we're totally doing this with a huge charcuterie spread and wine. So,
yes.
Amen. Take it all with a grain.
Yes.
Miko, what was your first job in the business and how did you get it?
My first job in the business that I was paid for?
Yeah.
My first job was I did a 10-week internship through the LA County Arts Organization. It was paid, gave me a stipend, and I did it at AFI with the directing workshop for women.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit more about editing trailers. How do you get into that? I think you're the first person who's been on the show who does that.
Yeah. So I was lucky enough to get a job as a PA at New Wave Entertainment here in Burbank. And I started as a runner, and they were doing trailers. And actually, soon after I started, they got rid of the trailer department, but they were still doing a bunch of DVD special features for Harry Potter and stuff, just a ton of Warner Brother, Universal.
We got to remember DVDs.
Yeah. Special features. So I kind of worked my way up from runner, PA to logger, and then assistant editor, and then, which is crazy because the person who was the lead night AE who trained me was Sam Esmail, who went on to do Mr. Robin and all that. So
did you have any experience cutting at all before this?
I mean, in college I had learned Final Draft and stuff like that, and I did to cut on my
Final
own.
Cut.
Yeah, sorry, Final Cut.
Yeah.
And I did to cut on my own. Just
okay. Yeah, I always wondered that. When you say when you started cutting trailers, wondered if you were cutting before that.
No, I knew I knew how to edit.
Yeah,
and stuff like that, and I was obsessed. In high school, I used to watch that show, Coming Attractions. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to record that VHS. And just watch that all the time.
Miko is a blurred. She is a blurred.
And so I used to I used to just love trailers. So I was there, and then there was an opportunity at this company called Buddha Jones Trailers in Hollywood, who was just a trailer company, and they needed some assistant editors. So I jumped ship over there, and then was working at this swing midnight shift, 4 to midnight, and after I finished my work, I would just stay late and kind of look at other editors' timelines and see kind of what sound design they were using and how they were using it and just structure and all that. And I just started cutting my own time and showing it some analysis and stuff. And I cut this Friday the 13th TVs, and they were yeah, we're going to send this to the client. Freaking loved it. I finished it and I got nominated for it.
I love it.
Yeah. And then, they made it. So it's definitely one of those jobs where you're kind of rewarded for the time you put into it in your free time, the time you're getting paid. And so I kind of just put a lot of sweat equity into it. And it paid off.
Yeah, you made that happen.
Yeah. And luckily I was just in a really good company and place where they're super good at kind of growing you up within and promoting from within. And there were a lot of really cool editors who I would show them cuts to and who would give me notes and stuff like that. So I've always really liked working with up and coming, editors and mentoring, and because I wouldn't be where I was if people hadn't taken the time to help me out. So I think it's important to do the same.
It is so what it's about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Yolanda, first job and how'd you get it?
First job was, I'm trying to remember. I have to, pull the cobwebs back. But
look in the Wayback Machine.
It was actually how Julie and I met. We worked in this particular department at Walt Disney Company. I left that job, and I can't remember if I had this job first or if I quit. But I didn't quit jobs at that time without having a job. So I must have gotten this job. Anyway, there was a movie that at the time was called Eaters of the Dead.
As you do.
That changed to the 13th Warrior. It was shooting in Canada, in Vancouver. And they were shooting on Vancouver Island, and they had massive wind, rain, storms that like destroyed all their sets. And they had like massive insurance claims, and they needed someone to come and process all of that.
You started out in accounting.
I was in accounting. I was in production accounting-ish. And so they needed someone to come do that. And I was like, sign me up. And so my first job was I processed 6 or 7 insurance claims because they did them each day because they had so much massive, like they had, besides all the sets being destroyed, other things had happened. So they had about 6 or 7 insurance claims, and they needed, obviously, if you have that many insurance claims, and it was a massive production. The entire crew was on distant location on the island. So they needed someone to come and process those. And so that was my first job, to come in and like prepare all the insurance claims to be submitted.
Okay, if you are new to this business, that is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have it. Let's just explain that. Like you have to record all the costs and all the
Yeah, and this is before the digital age. This was in 1990.
in a ledger.
I don't know,
Like a
1995, somewhere in there, 95, somewhere between 95 and 97. So in order to prepare the insurance claims, you had to substantiate the amount of cost to the insurance company of what that day or the loss cost. And you didn't have digital. And so it was all about preparing photocopies of all the costs that happened on that day for all your labor, all your equipment, everything. You had to look at the coding. I had to get the ledgers. It was weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of work and lots of photocopying. At the photocopy machine for hours. People would come to the photocopy machine and be so angry at me because I was still standing there. Yeah.
Now, if that sounds good to you, we are in desperate need of accountants right now. So let's sign up.
Yeah.
All right, Mika, we're going to start with you. Now, you directed the movie Inside the Project Greenlight show. And I know you did a bunch of stuff before that, like shorts, and you did the trailer editing and all of that. But I understand this is your first feature film that you directed.
Sure.
With a union crew, with people who have been working in film and TV a long time. Wow, first of all. And how did that change your approach, or how did you think about that differently? How did you prepare yourself to go in and do that?
I mean, I think I was definitely kind of happy that I was like, oh, there's all these people whose job it is to do these things that like me and my friends had to do ourselves because there was no money. And
Thank God.
we're like painting rooms and buying props and figuring out all this, getting insurance and picking up stuff and all of that. So it was nice. It's like, oh, wow, there's like people whose job it is to do that. And I get to just focus on directing and stuff like that. So yeah, it was definitely like a lot of excitement to be doing it in general. So
how was it to communicate like your vision and how you wanted things to go to all these different people? And did you have a learning curve on that?
There was a little bit because I tend to be, I guess I'm not as loquacious. As I should be sometimes. So definitely like if I can, I don't talk a lot, I guess. My pet peeve is people who talk a lot and don't say anything. So I probably will say 2 sentences, which, sometimes you need to be a little more descriptive. But no, luckily we hired really cool people that it was really fun to collaborate with. And like for instance, just even like our costume designer, Rahima, like she was really fun to like talk to and kind of come up with things. And she would present ideas because that's the thing. I can't think of everything, So it's like, that's why you hire these people and who read the script and they come up with their own ideas and they present things to you. And you're like, ooh, I like that, but I don't like this. And is there, something that's more this? And, it's a collaboration, which I really liked. So, a lot of that was just like trusting these people and kind of explaining just the overall look and making comparisons to other movies or this or that, and just how we're going to shoot things, how we're going to light things, and then kind of figuring out how to work with it and those parameters and stuff like that. But yeah, we actually really enjoyed it. And like we hired some really dope people who were just so fun to work with. And I'd be lucky to work with anyone again. Yeah, it was pretty easy to kind of just trust them and like, because I don't like to micromanage. So it's just like, look, these are professionals. I'm going to trust them to do their job so I can focus on the things that I'm supposed to be doing. So,
Which is what?
directing. It's like, working with the actors and everything, and like, like working with the DP and like, figuring out how we're going to shoot things. And I mean, yeah, just a lot to just get in front of when there's only 18 days and stuff like that. So
I can only imagine what you were thinking from the time that we said one to the time that we started shooting. It was 7 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's ridiculous. Yeah.
Was the script done and ready to go?
No, not at all. It was like, there were still kind of parts in the script that were like, not sure what's going to go here. We'll figure it out. Like, there's chunks that, the writer was, God bless him, was still trying to like work out. And, so there was, we were spending quite a bit of time on the phone in the evenings, just on top of like all the other stuff and like still trying to cast. And so, yeah, it definitely did make it kind of hard when it's trying to plan shots and this and that. And, what's going to be infamous and like some with the locations and trying to figure out everything. But
that's probably the meat of the show, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like, I think probably they made it a bigger deal than it was. But
were you sleeping? Like, what were you thinking? Like, once you got home and the cameras are off, like, what were you thinking? Like, what were you like, oh my God?
I was thinking like,
or were you spending time like trying to figure stuff out, or were you just like, okay, I'm just gonna get, tomorrow will be tomorrow and we'll do it again? Or
no, there was definitely like, when I would get home, just because I was working with Phil, the writer, like trying to help him. So a lot of time was spent like talking with him and trying to figure out stuff with him. And then there was a moment where we were kind of dividing and conquering, because it's just like, he's just one part, he can't do it. So I'm like doing these massive rewrites and stuff like that. So I was also trying to like help him in the evenings and stuff like that. But like, I was still trying to get, at least 6 hours of sleep or whatever. Cause it's just like, if you start wearing yourself out that early, like it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So you gotta, you do have to sort of pace yourself. And so I, luckily I kind of know it just from trailers and stuff, where it's a marathon. You still need to conserve energy for all of these other things. Because, you're constantly just making decisions all day. So,
were you ever worried?
No.
Were you ever worried? I wasn't either. They asked me. Did they ask you that? They asked me a few times recently about like my level of worry, and I was like, I was never worried.
No, I was never worried either.
I was never worried.
Yeah.
Okay, when you're talking about now we're talking about the reality show.
Yes.
So you all had cameras on you as you did this the entire time, watching your every move, mic you up when you got out of the car. How was that? How did that?
It was our own private Truman Show.
It was really interesting. I mean,
how many texts did you get about what's your ETA?
I always got texts about every morning, which they wanted to know. They wanted to know precisely when you were getting there, so that they could be prepared to record you, arriving, everything. I was like, whatever. For me, I had the expectation of all of that, so it was like, okay, whatever, blah blah blah. The recording of what we were doing was not something that was a surprise to me, and kind of like the extra of like, oh, the minute you arrive, you get the mic on and blah, blah, blah. None of that was a surprise to me. I think for me, and I think for Jeanette, you can say, for yourself, but I definitely developed some new producerial muscles that I did not have before.
Absolutely. But you also said, like, without the show, we wouldn't have the film. So we had to learn how to play that dance of, we're making this movie, we don't want to stop and pay attention to the show, otherwise the movie will get derailed. And we don't want to ignore the show because that is part of the movie. Like, we're symbiotic in that. So finding.
But our primary role was to make the movie, not the series.
And I know you both are very committed to having very inclusive sets that are low drama. And the point of the show is to create high drama and conflict. Like, how obligated to making good television did you feel as you were making this movie?
I mean, I felt like we were in tunnel vision. I felt like I was trying to block out all the stuff that was happening around us and just focusing on making a good movie. It was like, just focus on that and try to ignore the rest. We had a safe word. So
can you tell us what it was?
We had a safe word, so if we ever needed to like look at our text or something. One time you kicked me under the chair. Like,
yes. I was like, no, don't do that. No, we felt no obligation to make a good TV show or to not make a good TV show. What Jeanette and I were symbiotic in. Our task was to make an excellent movie. And the situation was that we were going to be making this movie in a situation in which we were being documented while we were making the movie. And there probably was interest in the things that are dramatic in those situations being something that is better for the television show than it would be for the film. And so we were constantly managing, how do we keep this balance of keeping things in a positive, proactive, forward projection of the filmmaking while we're also being recorded? Because oftentimes when you're making movies or you're making anything, any kind of, filmed project, things happen. And sometimes it requires a little bit of nuance and it requires a little bit of shuffling around and tailoring, like who's seeing what and who's hearing what and all of these things. But in this circumstance, it was like they hear everything. And the minute we'd say something, a camera would show up in our doorway.
And I told them from day one, I'm very boring. Like I don't
Nothing to see here.
Oh yeah. And so it's like,
how'd you feel about that, Mika? How do you feel about that?
I like that.
Yeah, apparently, like one of my favorite words or phrases is I like to say, it's fine. It's fine. And I guess apparently that is an issue. Is it passive aggressive or or that I don't care or whatever? And it's like, no, like it's fine. No, that means it's fine.
No, really, it's fine.
Yeah,
Like
it's fine. Yeah.
Good. I don't
Moving on. Like,
I don't have to put an exclamation mark on the end of everything. Like, no, it's fine. Like, what do you? I don't know. Like,
but seriously, we had no drama. We really had very little drama.
We did. That very little.
In all of the years that I've made low budget films, this was one we were on budget, on time. Yes, we had a couple of days that were a nail biter and long and whatnot, but for the most part, it was pretty damn smooth, and you got pretty much everything you wanted. Like,
Yeah.
Did any of you ever forget the cameras? Or were you
No, never.
no, I always knew they were there
Never.
because there were multiple ones.
I keep telling people recently that my inner dialogue was like, what does my face look like right now?
100%.
I was like, what are they always filming me when I?
Because you were always eating.
And there's times though, like people forget that I'm wearing a mic and they're not wearing one, so they come up and they'll say something, and I'm just like, got it down. Or sometimes I'll just walk away because it's like I don't want to like text other people.
I know. I would constantly be like,
Don't shake it.
if sometimes somebody started talking, I'd be like, I'm pointing at my mic right now for those of you who can't see.
We could probably make a very interesting book out of all of the text chains.
Yes,
From
quite.
various departments.
Quite. Yes. Yeah.
A lot of texting and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
Okay, can we go back to, you said you worked with so many dope people. Can we talk about the hiring of those dope people? Because you did it so fast, but you also were very thoughtful and intentional about it. Discuss.
Well, you've got Creevy.
We've worked with so many fantastic people, and we interviewed a lot of great people, and we just wanted to reflect the world around us. And so it was really about personality first and foremost, and did they have the vision for Miko, and were they up for doing a tier 1? It's hard. It's nights. It's in Pomona. Like, we needed to get people that had the right personality, and it really just felt effortless. It felt like,
and I'd say, Jeanette and I both have been in positions to need to gather the gaggle of people or who are going to show up. But in this particular circumstance, it was entirely for us to create those groupings without a ton of input beforehand of who those groupings were going to be. And because we are both super intentional about making sure that candidate pool is a good one in all respects and talented, skilled, representative, we were able to create candidate lists that were great and all of those things without having the barriers to putting that pool together. And so we brought great groups of people, and we had really, I mean, there were lots of people in each one of the categories that could have done a great job. And so we ended up with the best of the best. When you do that, people, that's the thing that people don't understand in the conversation. They think, oh, well, but you want to hire people who are qualified. Well, yes, exactly.
You're talking about hiring in a diverse way.
Correct.
Diverse pool of candidates.
And it felt
Correct.
very organic.
It totally was. It wasn't like, oh, we need one of these.
No,
and
there
one
was
of
no
these, and one of-
checkbox.
There was no checkbox at all.
Yeah.
It was just intentional selection of great people. And also, like Jeanette said, making sure we were bringing people who were going to be supportive of and mesh well with Miko in coming in at where she was coming in from her career of making stuff.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, which I can't imagine being in this position coming into to do this job, of having the confidence. And I think probably because you're a writer and an editor and a director and all the things. So it sounds like you had a very clear vision and had the confidence to just go in and do it. Did you worry about that or think about that? Or this is my thing and I'm just doing it?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of just like, this is my thing. And I think all the people that we talked to and we hired, like, they understood the assignment, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And I feel like I'm pretty easy to get along with, and I'm pretty easy, like, I can kind of adjust my thermostat, so to speak, to you know, get along with people and stuff like that usually.
I'll tell you, we had a big sigh of relief when you were the one that was chosen.
Nice.
And we had a side conversation with Miko before we started, and we were like, look, we're here to support you. First and foremost, it's about your vision and supporting you. So sidebar with us wherever you need it. Like, this is weird for all of us having a camera in our face, and we're with you. And, you know, and so having that trust and that open door right from the beginning and never breaking that trust was, I think, our secret sauce.
Yeah, no, and that was like a big part too. It's just like knowing that I had like these ladies in the corner and like who had all this experience too. It definitely, because, you know, I was, you know, trusting them behind the scenes to, like, I'm sure there was a gazillion problems that you guys had to do that I never even knew about, so that I could just focus on what I was trying to do. But there was stuff where it was just like, I want to know how a budget works. And so, like, you guys sat down with me and took me through every single page of this like 70 something page budget. And like, there was things I didn't even know about. Like, you know, if you have a plant on set, then you have to hire a greens person. Or if you have an animal, even a goldfish, you got to hire like just things that cut into your budget. And I was like, well, yeah. And all these things that I didn't know about, just how it works and the pace, like, yeah, which was really cool. Cause it's like, yeah, I want to learn, like, I want to know at least like a little bit about everything. And, you know, there's some things I want to know a little bit more, like, yeah, I definitely want to learn more about producing and not just as a title, but actually like the work.
Well, then you can make better decisions because you're not just like being this crazy person and give me everything.
That's right.
Making concessions on things and like saving things, or like there's certain things where I'm like, no, I'm going to die on this hill for this thing. And other things I'm like, it's not that big a deal. Like, we figured
It's fine.
it's fun. It's fun. It's fun. We're good. It's fun.
And how do you pivot when you have a vision for something and then you realize, oh, I'm going to have to give up something else to get that, and I'm not willing to give up the other thing? Like, how would you make those decisions?
I just remember there was like this, I can't remember who said it to me, but there's a thing where the audience never know, they're never going to know what you didn't get. They're only aware of what you show them. So it's like,
Oh, that's good.
they're not going to know.
That's
So
great.
can the story still function without this? And yes, like 90% of the time it can. And a lot of that just comes from being an editor. Like, you know, you're telling a story in 2.5 minutes. So like, and sometimes 30 seconds. So you kind of know like just through that, what you actually need and don't need it.
That must make you so much more efficient.
Yeah, I think so. Definitely helps. I mean, granted, we didn't really have the time to overshoot coverage, but I wouldn't do that in general. Like, even if we did have an extra 2 days, because it's like, no, we have it. Like, let's go. Like, I don't like making.
I was immediately like in this when we were selecting, like we were in the selection process, and I was like, and it came up too during that actual selection day where we met you guys and interviewed. But as soon as I knew you were an editor and it came up in discussion, I was like, oh yeah, she's gonna know immediately what we need and what we don't need.
I think you were always in our top 5.
Yeah.
From the very beginning, you were always in our top 5.
Yeah.
We're like 1-to-1.
Yeah. For sure.
Okay, speaking of the competition of it all, I understand they brought in all women directors, which, as you know, there's such a shortage of women directors.
Oh my God.
I really want to hire women. But if only I could find them. If only there were some out there.
If only there were some. And if only they weren't such catty bitches when you put
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so what actually happened?
Yeah.
This is my favorite thing that you always say.
Yeah. Well, the first thing was before we even got to Miko, and we had 25. We were presented 25 people of like the last set of people to get to the 10, and they were all great. Like looking at all the reels and reading about them and all the things, and I was like, oh my God, these are every single one down to a person were amazing, capable female directors. And I got so mad.
Were they not all working?
Because I'm like, okay, why are we saying that we cannot find women to direct? Because we want to hire them, but we can't find them. And here are literally, these are only the 25 that they've shown me. Like, and I actually ended up meeting and interfacing with some other people. Actually, one of the production designer candidates we met with came from a referral from another director who didn't make it to the finals.
Gotcha.
But anyway, it's just like, what?
And they were from all over.
Yeah.
They were from all over the place.
Baltimore,
Yes.
Minnesota, like
Yes.
all over.
Such great candidates.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I actually got pissed off because I'm like, this is easy. Like, this is easy. How
It's a myth.
Yeah.
So when we hear it in the room, of people saying, oh, we'd love to, but we just can't possibly because they don't exist. Like, we all have to just stop that narrative in its tracks because people just in the room go, oh, yeah, you're right.
I'll tell you what
Right.
it is, though. It's actors need to give these women a break and sign on to their projects so they will get greenlit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
That's part of it. I agree. But like, the people who are making the decision of choosing who's going to direct the picture need to not say, I can't find a female director to do
Yes,
this,
that
because
too.
they actually believe that they're not out there. Like, they're
They believe
not,
it.
because they'll give the same similarly situated director who is not a female, who may not have done their first feature yet or whatever, or something commercial. They will give that person the opportunity to have their first feature. But they'll be like, I can't find any female directors.
Well, that was the interesting thing too. It's like sometimes I would look up a director on IMDb, like a male director, and it's like they did 2 shorts and then suddenly they're doing a feature. And I'm like, how?
Yeah.
What shorts did you do?
3?
Yeah.
So yeah, and I remember they asked me like during the quote unquote audition, like they're like, why do you think you can do a feature? And it's like, well, why not? Like, it's for that reason. I look at like these other people and it's like, you did 2 shorts and then you got handed a feature. Like, there's no reason I can't. It's just a longer short, essentially. But
Yeah.
It's a long.
yeah. So,
Women need to have the confidence to say they can do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
And everyone else has to have the confidence to hire them.
And down to a person, like, literally, I mean, we had our discussion about like, the selection process and all the different people, and like, we kind of had some laughs and so on and so forth. But literally, I can imagine down to a person working with every single one of those 25 women.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And now you know them and you're going to make more movies.
Yeah. We've met quite a few of them.
Yeah.
No, and I spent the day with like that day they took us all to readers and we were all kind of like waiting for our turn to pitch. And like we had all met each other the night before too. It's like happy hour thingy. But yeah, there were a couple that like, I had like some really good conversations with. And it's like, oh, we like a lot of the same stuff. Like, yeah, we're, afterward I was like, I would love to work with this person, or, And most of them, yeah, I still talk to on social media and stuff like that. And I'm seeing their projects, and like they're all just immensely talented. So
Yeah. And this woman, there was this one director who's kind of doing some stuff who didn't make it to that 25, but helped us find a potential production designer to replace our one that we lost. She's doing stuff, and her and then a couple other people will check in and be like, "Oh, how did it go?" Whatever. But they're totally rooting for you.
Mhm.
Like they're totally like, "Oh, what's
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh, I can't wait to see you." They're totally rooting for you.
yeah, on Instagram, they're like, "How's it going?" Blah blah blah. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
they're all like super super cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it.
Love it.
Love it.
Getting back to the budget size and the indie of it all, like I know YouTube producers could be producing anything out there. You could be producing $100 million movies.
Facts.
Why are you still doing this budget range?
I love independent film, and I love giving back and teaching and supporting and having that voice, that independent voice. I just love that world.
Mhm.
I have to give Jeanette her flowers on this because this is where it was great for me to really partner with her because this is her jam.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I've done like under $1 million. I know how to do under $1 million really well. And I know how to do 20 million to 120 million really well. That space in between, I haven't really done that much at all. And that's Jeanette's jam. And there were times where it's like, and I was like, really? We're doing this movie for how much money? And Jeanette was like, yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. I'm like, okay,
What
okay.
did you guys talk about the other day that you saw something of, and it was made for how much? How many times more our
the
budget?
New Mutants. The New
Mhm.
Mutants. Yeah.
Just to make sure everybody knows, Jeanette, you made that model that Blumhouse did all their films for, like the teeny little budget. You sell it for huge amount of money at the end, and
Yeah. It's I don't know. There's a freedom in it when you know that this is your box, and you have to be even more creative with what time and resources you have. So you have to be very intentional about the decisions, and you have to look at where you want to put the money to make the most bang for the buck on the project.
Yeah, there's a saying or like a thing where it's like sometimes when you have limitations, it forces you to be more creative.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So and it's just like even as a photographer, there's some days where I'll just bring like one lens, and even though I'll be out and be like, dang, I wish I had this, but no, you still make it work, and it forces you to be more creative and get shots that you wouldn't have gotten
If you had the option.
Yeah. So it definitely
Mhm.
forces you to be more creative, and I think that's cool.
And what you and Byron did in editing took it to a whole other level.
Mhm.
And then what sound design did.
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
go-
Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely, man. Byron's my BFF. Byron was our editor, and we're BFFs now.
Yeah. Editor.
Yeah, I call him editor. Just call him editor. It's like making Instagram stories. Editor. I had friends who were like, "Wait, do you really call him that all the time?" Or so well, sometimes. I was like,
we found this really important to learn people's names.
yeah. I call you by He's called you by that. He's great sense of humor, and we spent all summer in a bay together and
Friends
each other.
now.
Oh yeah. No, we had stuff.
I can't believe how disciplined you were and how you were not itching to actually cut yourself.
Oh no, there were moments.
I
The
almost
first
took a
week,
bet on that.
Yeah.
no, the first week because I'm not used to trailer editors are just insanely fast because you just have to be. So it's just you're just like the sprinters of the editing world, and yeah, feature editors again, it's like a marathon, and it's more meticulous. And so that first week, I would ask him to do something, and I was just like, wait, what's going on? I was like, oh, so it took a week for me to learn. I was like, oh, this is just how.
It's a different pace.
Yeah,
Why isn't it done yet?
yeah. So once I realized that, it was fine. So I would just chill on the couch. Byron
But the
brought me
layer-
But even
Yeah.
still of not actually
oh no, I had to when I
putting your
go
hands on
yeah.
the keyboard.
I would stand up. I would stand up and look over his shoulder at something on the screen. I would put my hands behind. I didn't want to grab the mouse.
Right, yeah.
Just do that.
Is it like watching your parents try to email?
Oh my God. Speaking well.
Sidebar.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And I looked at your questions last night and I typed quick little, whatever, because someone just forget things. And I forgot I called my dad. Okay. I asked him, I was like, can you just email me that? It's on my desktop. And he thought I meant like the other
The actual desk.
It was like, I was like, Dad, the desktop. Dad, like, it was the most frustrating 5 minutes I've ever. I was like, are you trolling?
Different English.
Dad, the desktop. There's a file on there. And you're like, oh, and my dad's a computer guy. So it's like,
Yeah.
Dad, no, the laptop. What do you? Yeah. So,
That's adorable.
yeah.
Yes.
He's trolling me.
All right, so how'd the movie turn out?
It turned out great. Yeah, super proud of it. I think it's really great.
And I really, really wanted to have a theatrical release.
Are they showing it on HBO Max?
Well, it's HBO Max. We will have a small theatrical release. There will be a small one. But
I want the world to demand it because I want them to see what Nico did in a Herculean effort with a tiny amount of time, with the amount of pressure, with all those cameras and everything on you. I am beyond impressed at how this turned out, and I really want it to be received theatrically in the way that it should be.
That's all accurate. I'll post it.
You're on the plus ones. 100 underline red. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about this process. Is there anything you wish you had known going in that you maybe learned the hard way that would have been better?
That's a Miko question. That's a you problem.
I mean, it's fine.
Yeah, there's definitely, I wish, when people talk about like, on camera being filmed, I did not realize it would be as invasive.
Would you have done anything different though?
No, I wouldn't have.
You're so you.
Yeah, like, like obviously, like and there was a moment where I almost like pulled the plug, where I was just like, I don't know if I want to, be filmed all the time. But it's just like this is such a good opportunity, and like, why would you?
Yeah, how could you not?
And yeah, and all that to say, like, obviously, like it is like a massive blessing. So it's like I don't want to complain, but like at the same time, it's not what you expect, and it is super invasive, and especially like someone who's kind of like, I guess, a little private and a little introverted, or I don't know.
You're an intro extrovert.
Yeah. So that's kind of been.
Should we do a Myers-Briggs test?
Yeah. So it's like that, and
ITJ. No, I'm just kidding. You don't have to say what it was, but did you ever say anything that got captured on camera that you wish you hadn't said?
that are such a because we were moving so fast.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I would just delete stuff at the end of the night. Like, don't need it, delete. Yeah.
You sound like
that's impressive. I would still be hanging on to whatever it said.
There's some things like, and part of it too is just knowing how I am. Like, I don't say too many off-color things in general, but like, there's times where I kind of wish I would have said. Like, there's times where I'm like.
I'm curious because I was obsessed with the last season, which now is like, 5-6 years ago?
Yeah.
Effie Brown and the conversation with Matt Damon, her around the world.
Yep.
Right.
Did you feel any responsibility or A, did that worry you about doing it? Did it make you feel like you could make this kind of a corrective experience?
I'm glad you brought that up.
Those 6 years.
Yeah, I actually want to give a major thank you to Effie Brown for that, because were it not for her in that season, I would have been far less prepared for being in this production and the impact of that light and those cameras on you. And especially now, because that last season was probably the first one where there was kind of like where social was really, the prior seasons, there wasn't really that much social and blah, blah, whatever. Long way to say that I was my inner dialogue was, what does my face look like right now? Like I was constantly calibrating what my expression was, how I was speaking to people, the actual words that were coming out of my mouth, everything. Constant. I never let that guard down, ever.
Because we saw how much this can impact your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you never hesitated. When I asked you to partner with me and produce this with me, you did not hesitate
Not
a beat.
a
You
beat.
said yes immediately.
Absolutely. Because it was like the thing that I had conversations with a few people about over time who struggled a little bit with it about being, followed and all the things is, yes, this is hard. And yes, it's putting a lot of pressure on you and it can negatively impact you. However, it is also a tremendous opportunity for people around the world to see what it is that you are capable of doing.
Yeah.
Amen.
I mean, that was my hope too. It was just because I loved growing up watching all those behind the scenes, making of this and making of that. And I watched so many James Cameron, like Terminator 2 and Alien, all of that stuff. And I thought it could be just a really cool opportunity for, the young Miko, the 12-year-old Miko watching that, where it's like, oh, here's someone who looks like me. And here's like, oh,
absolutely. Yeah.
And also there was always that thing too. You're like, who are all these people on set? Like, what? And
what do they do? Yeah.
And it was such a good opportunity to for them to kind of show what all these jobs are. I saw them interviewing our gaffer, Matt Hadley, who's just this mad scientist. He had everything kind of honed in on his laptop, and that what he does is so fascinating. And then just even that, where it's like, oh, you're into fashion. Well, here's what a costume designer does, and this is what they do and how they approach character and what they're wearing. And oh, maybe you're into interior design. You can make a job out of working, with the production designer and their team, all of these things. And it's I was hoping that would be the focus and not, 85% of things went really well. And it's and instead it's
90, I think 90.
Probably. And it's focus on that as opposed to the 10% that didn't. There's a reason people love the Great British Bake Off, because it's everyone's so nice and happy. And
it's so nice.
And it's guess what? That show functions great without stupid drama and whatever. But
to be clear, we did film all of that stuff.
Yeah.
They did interview everyone.
Yes.
They did.
It is
all of the positive on everything.
It could be the story. It could be.
No.
But we're focusing this whole season of Catch a Break on all the things that went great.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
We're going to get it.
The audiences
Oh my God,
get
speaking
it.
of which, my brother texted me yesterday a picture of him and Matt Hadley. I guess they're on a project together right now.
Oh, that's right.
God, tell him I love him.
I know. I love Hadley.
Fun. Okay. Tell me because I know there were some hard things to do. Tell me what you are most proud of having done the show.
I love that.
The most proud of having done the show?
Mm-hmm.
I think a number of things. Obviously, I'm proud of just directing a movie in 18 days or 7 weeks of pre-pro, but also just so freaking proud of my team. Again, they understood the assignment, and I don't even know if the cameras capture how hard they freaking worked, and they had such a great attitude about it, and they just wanted to help the project, and they really gave 110%. It just makes me really proud. Just them, the people who were there on set, because the set shoots were rough and it was cold, and they did their job. And then just even on the post side, our sound department, they were just the dopest dudes. Our composer, he had such a short amount of time to compose. Our sound designer, he's kind of a nerd. He's just awesome and just
In a good way.
yeah, so dry. But yeah, Jeff Pitts, he's just he really just had a lot of fun with sound designing it. And you could tell he put so much thought into everything. He could have easily just kind of phoned it in, and he didn't. And same with our mixer, Caleb, and obviously our editor, Byron. He just put so much time and effort into it. And yeah, there's just so many people.
And we should say, sound, we always knew sound was going to be a major component of the movie experience of this. So that was big. And Nico's a big sound person anyway. So, yeah.
But yeah, just super proud of just every single name that you see.
Every single one of those people had to not only sign up to do a low budget indie movie, but have a camera and mic in their face while doing it and drive to Pomona.
Yeah.
Be up all night.
Right. Yeah.
That was a lot to ask. Yeah.
It was a lot.
Tina and her team, they would finish a set as we were arriving to it.
Mm-hmm.
And they would move on to the next location. And then it was just kind of this
And she
Very-
cooks up food.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then she's just so funny. I love all Martina's little
Martina.
sayings too.
Yeah.
That's a dandy.
Learn all about it.
That's a dandy and no bother.
Right.
Sure. Yeah. No. Yeah. Just amazing people to just be super proud of, if anything.
How about you, Yolanda?
I am super proud. There's a thing of like, for me, I don't know if this applies to everybody else, but for me personally, having done this for, a long time and having confidence in what I was doing or my abilities or my contribution or my value to the work and what was being done, having that confidence in yourself, but not always having that affirmed. And I feel like this was a great opportunity for me to understand what I could do and understand what I know. And what I mean by that is, and this has come clear to me in the recent interviews that I've done for the series, which is I had tremendous confidence in myself, in Jeanette, and in Miko. And most particularly among that, Miko. Like Jeanette and I, whatever. Like I had complete confidence in Miko. And so a lot of the things that came up were like, oh, this is going to be a problem. How are we going to do this? And And it's this, are we going to be able to make it or whatever? And the reason I asked about being worried is because I was asked if I was worried. And there was never a time that I was worried. And often my answer was because I had confidence in my filmmaker. I knew what filmmaker I had. And so I was never worried. And the fact that I trusted me understanding that I knew that I had the right person and us get the result that we got. And it was basically, that was confirmation and me being like, yeah, we got it. We're good. I'm super proud of that.
So the absolute opposite of imposter syndrome.
Yeah. It was like, we're good. I know, we're going to do it. You told me. And in parts of the process be like, oh, what about this? What was it? No, you gave us a task. You gave us the benchmarks. We're going to do it. We're going to meet it. It's going to be fine. And we did.
I love the fact that for 90% of it, there was no drama on our side.
Yeah.
And we actually, from something that was a half-baked idea, we leaned into it as much as we could. We hit the ground running. We didn't pay attention to all of the naysayers on the outside who were, oh, is it good enough? Are you going to make it? Are you going to get there or whatever? And we hit this tiny little bullseye to make something that was a fun watch that I am proud of, that I feel is what is more than what we set out to make and is a great calling card for you. Like I am so proud that we were able to get through. And I don't think there was anything that I did that I regret or was embarrassed about. I think I tried to be as real as possible with that. And I actually loved working with both of you. Loved working with both of you.
Same.
Likewise. Yeah.
Same. Oh, that's what I say. I was like, oh, I got like 2 more big sisters.
Yeah.
It's been such a joy to like learn from both of you. And it's funny, like listening to you like both kind of say that, especially you, Yolanda, about just like being in that place where you're like confident with yourself and stuff like that. I had one of my really good friends just a week or 2 ago. We talked to about his Avid class. He teaches in college in Colorado. And my friend who just loves trailers, he's been doing it for 15 years. He's really good. This guy's Steve Pinto. But, he's talking to the class. One of the things he said is he's like, look, it took me a long time to get to build up my skill and this and that and get good at this. And now I just get to enjoy being good at it. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's kind of where you're at. And like, that's kind of where that benchmark that I also want to hit for myself. It's something where it's like, I mean, granted, I'm a perfectionist and nothing's ever but I want to get
Don't talk about the box.
Don't get me started. I feel like triggered right now. But it's like, it's to that point too where it's like, oh, now I can just enjoy being good at it. Being really, really good at this for the next till forever.
Yeah.
Well, for anyone who works with you in the future, Miss Miko, you are a fantastic team player.
Yeah. They at some point, can't remember.
They're the youngest of 4. That was one of mom's big things.
Yeah.
Like figure it out. Like we weren't kids. We just have to figure it.
I think somebody asked both of us at one point. It was like, if you're not hired, it was at the end of prep, I think, and we were at Occidental Studios, and they were asking us about Miko, and we were like, if people aren't clamoring to hire Mika Wimbush to direct stuff, then they're freaking stupid.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It was an odd process because they would make you question yourself every day.
Yeah.
That was the hardest
Right.
thing. So I would say, like, as a process, it wasn't a documentary. It was this exploratory deep dive into your psyche of like questioning everything that you did that day, which was an odd, reflective place to
Right.
be.
Right.
That's what you see in the show. That's how they approached the show, not as a documentary style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like what you said too about like, I can't remember exactly what you said, but I was thinking like, I've said like I was constantly monitoring what I was saying and the words coming out of my mouth, but also I was actively making an effort to be my authentic self as well. So that's a weird,
That's a lot of mental.
that's a lot. I was exhausted. I was exhausted every day because of I was doing mental gymnastics all day long, every day on top of just doing the job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
God.
Yeah.
All right. Our 2 final questions for all of you. What is a favorite memory you have of this production? If it was like a great laugh or something sweet or something, something enraging you will never forget or let go of.
I loved when Danny took the camera from Jeremiah and turned it on him in
That was
the
great.
dialogues. Right?
That's fun.
That was so.
What did he say to him? It was because the thing they always say to you is
No, can you repeat the question? You would find the answer.
so Danny, our
First AE,
went to
our
Jeremiah.
the DP of the doc series.
Yeah, he was one of the camera guys. And actually, he's the one. Like, Jeremiah Smith is like one of the dopest.
He's awesome.
He's on Abbott Elementary right now.
Yeah, he's scripted. He's a cameraman. He should be working and DPing on his own.
We're gonna snag him.
Yeah.
He's so good and just such a good attitude, just like good people. But yeah, the AD took the camera from him one day,
That was
turned
a
it
great
on
moment.
him, and started asking him questions, and giving him the whole repeat, what the question and the answer.
That's a
The
good
drill,
one.
yeah, where Jeremiah started wearing the piece of tape that said "It's weird for me too."
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so much. Yeah, that was a good one.
What was your favorite, Mika?
That was pretty funny. I really liked
Yeah.
shooting the sitcom set. That was a lot of fun.
That was good.
Everybody has talked about that being the best thing.
Yeah, it was really cool because
That was so
before
good.
we shot like the scene from the movie, the lead watches the sitcom all the time. So we had a sitcom family act out, and it felt like a sitcom like that. They were real sitcom actors. They were so good.
Mhm.
So that was like super fun. That was really cool. I really liked shooting the bus stop scene with Jessica and Garrett because they were just hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. They were just like so funny and like they just had really good chemistry too. And that was a lot of fun. And then it was really cool. Like when Gina came to set, that was kind of cool. Gina Prince, by the way, she's like one of the mentors for through the show. And she came to set one night, which was super dope because she was in the midst of finishing A Woman King and was still making time to like, cheer me on and call me and text me and all of these things. So, and as someone who's like loving basketball, it's like that movie was my jam. It's still like, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's like showing up to my set and like, yeah, it's kind of cool.
Were you dying that she was like texting you and coming?
Oh no, yeah, it's so weird that I'm like, yeah, it's so bizarre. And like, because we very much like kind of similar personality too. And part of it, like she used to be a basketball player and I was a basketball player too. So, her advice was kind of just walking onto the set like you walk onto the court, all that kind of confidence and swagger and stuff like that. And so she was really cool. And then obviously like Kumail Nanjiani was another one of the mentors too. All of our advisors, all
Great.
of them, like,
they were really great.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Like all of them, like between the three of them, they gave me such sound advice. And just even like doing the photo shoot, the promotional photo shoot a couple weeks ago with the three of them, like, it was just super interesting. Like, at one point, they were all naming like their top 5 movies, and another time they were talking about line reading and whether or not they like it.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
they wouldn't. It was just like super interesting hearing each opinion, and like,
Yeah.
just because they've all, I don't know, they all, if the one, I mean, obviously there were a lot of really good things that came out of this, but like having the 3 of them as mentors as well was definitely awesome. And I got like a lot of really good advice from all 3 of them. So
Did you have a moment where you were like, oh my God, my dream is coming true? Like, did you have one of those out of body?
yeah, no, definitely. Well, I told these guys, like, when they called my name, like when Issa said my name, like I pretty much blacked out. That was on a Wednesday night, and like I pretty much was in this like blackout state. Like Thursday, like after I woke up to all these texts, and then like all of a sudden I woke up again and I was at a bar with a drink in my hand. I'm like, when did I get here? And then I was somewhere else with another drink, and my friends are there hugging. And then the next day, Friday, we were already like,
Well, you're late.
yeah, we're already like starting. You're already like hiring like casting direct, like interviewing casting directors, like literally in like 36
Immediately,
hours.
yeah.
It was I almost didn't have time to pinch myself. But yeah, there were definitely moments, being on set, and then like, just moments of surreal where I'm like, oh my God, this is like, I can't believe this is happening. So that was the other thing that made it where I wasn't like super, super stressed, because it's like, I think things happen when they're supposed to happen. And had this happened like 10 years ago, I might not have been ready. But, at this point, just having had a lot of life experience and been through a lot of hardship and this and that, and you able to deal with certain like stress and this and that, in a good way. That's the thing.
Like, this is your moment, and you went.
Yeah.
So definitely like still pinching myself and like,
You were meant to do it.
yeah.
It's incredible. It's great.
Yeah. It's such a
Okay.
Hey, on to beat that.
I'm going to cheat. I have 3 moments. So Mika knows how weird I am about, just because of trying to understand how to navigate life and the valleys and the highs and all of that. Like, I've always tried to, or at least I've learned to be an observer, and kind of more like I'm not Zen, I'm not Buddhist or anything, but like be Zen about like shitty shit. And so our worst day on set was this particular day shooting the end of the movie, and it was terrible. It was my low. It was the worst day of the shoot for me, no question. Miko's saying, because I really wanted to dig a hole and bury myself in it, like that, for real. But we actually made it through the day. Like, we made the day, and
the end works,
and it works. And so I was like, oh my God, thank God. It all survived. Yes. So thinking about how bad that was reminded me of my next runner-up favorite memory was the Red Room. So Miko finished her director's cut of the movie.
Oh no, are you going to say this?
And it was like, I was like, okay, everybody's excited. Like, oh my God, we're finally going to see the movie. Like, what is it going to be like? Like, what's going to be the reaction?
We were,
like,
just to set it up for everybody, we were completely shut out.
And there we go. Yeah. So of course, for guild rules in the Directors Guild, the director has a private time to cut their movie without interference and anybody saying anything. Okay. So then when they screen their director's cut, it's the first time you're seeing. So it's like a big build up, and we're all there, and like it's a group of folks, and we went to, I think it was William Morris, and it's like, oh my God, we're going to see the movie. And we screened the movie. and then it ended, and there was dead silence.
Oh no.
There was dead silence.
In the room?
In the room.
So I turned around.
No, but it was just like,
he cut.
We're not gonna. We're not gonna say. Every once in a while, she sends me this to make me laugh. But
this is where it happened.
Let's just suffice to say that Miko screened her director's cut, and you could hear a pin drop in a carpeted room.
Did you want to die?
Which
Like,
was super weird and
It's
odd.
just weird.
But me being the crazy person that I am, I take great glee and amusement out of this memory. I love it. And it will be one of my favorite memories of this movie forever.
Yeah, it was weird. I definitely couldn't
yeah.
wait to get
So-
back.
wait, what happened?
Well, eventually people started talking, but for a long while it was dead silent.
I'm gonna say because they were so moved and stunned. It was
Yes.
so
I think so. They were just moved in.
So, and then my most favorite memory was I am a Post geek. I love Post, and was super excited about the Post period for this movie and what we're going to do with the sound work, and felt like it was really going to help the movie, which it did. So my most favorite memory, and I love all the people that we worked with. I love all of you, all of our crew. Love you bunches and bunches, but I really had so much fun in the sound mix.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the sound mix too. Yeah, the sound mix was the 8 days we spent at Formosa.
That was super great.
We renamed it the roast room. Like
I
all we
loved
did
it.
was just-
It just filled my heart. Like I was just like so happy just experiencing it because we had talented people doing it and they
sounds
were
so good.
lifting the film another level. And it was just fun to observe it.
No, they're so good at their jobs and they're just so cool to like,
Yeah.
Caleb and Rocket Car David, Jeff Pitts, and
Rocket. Yeah.
Byron
So that was
Formosa.
it. That was
A
it.
shout out to all of the vendors that helped us.
Yes.
All of the crew that helped us.
Super. Yeah. Headquarters, Infinity, Crafty 8.
These unions that
Yeah.
are in and allowed people
Formosa.
to step up into the positions that we gave them. And,
Yeah.
I mean, really, 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 really wonderful to support independent film and new voices.
It was a total love fest. Now, I think this brings us to our martini shot, or in our case, the red wine and brie shot. What advice do you have for someone trying to do what you do? But before I ask that, Mika, what is next for you?
Dude, hopefully working with these guys again. Definitely just taking a breather just for a minute, but like, yeah, just trying to figure out the next project. Like I'd love to direct something that I write at some point. So yeah, just kind of figuring that next project is definitely excited to get back. I have so much fun when I'm on set and I love like working, just being part of a team. It's just so much fun.
I feel like we're sitting on the launch pad right now.
You are.
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah.
You mark it, write it down. You are definitely sitting on it. For sure.
exciting.
And we're going to get the band back together.
Dude,
Yeah.
definitely getting them together. Like there's so many of those people and I'm like, oh, I want to work with them again for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay. What is your piece of advice for someone who wants to do what you do?
I would say be patient, but still work hard. Like it's definitely something that doesn't just, some people get lucky and it happens very fast. And other people, it took a few years for me to get here. And it was not without discouragement and all of these things, but still kind of just kept believing in myself and still trying to find other ways to be creative and stuff like that. Yeah, I think it's being patient with yourself and showing yourself. Also putting in the work.
It's what they say that it's where luck meets preparation. So you have to do the preparation part.
Yeah, 100%.
So that when the luck comes, you're ready.
No, that's 100%. If I hadn't spent all that time writing and getting good and fast, it definitely helped with this editing and just doing all those shorts and stuff. It definitely helped. So then when this came, that's why I wasn't worried because it's like, yeah, I'm
ready.
I can do this. I know what I'm doing. So
Yeah. My advice over the last probably 10 years has continued to be understand that what this business is and a lot of other businesses are is not a meritocracy.
Truth.
So while what Miko just said is correct, you want to prepare yourself and be skilled and be knowledgeable. You need to understand that those are not necessarily the things that are going to get you where you are wanting to go in this business. And you're not going to just get yourself there because you're the best at what you do and you know the most. And you have to understand that, and you have to understand the other things that you need to do to get yourself where you want to go. And that's Some of that is about making people understand what you're capable of and speaking it and saying it out loud and putting it in front of people's faces. And part of it is about networking and finding the people who can take you where you want to go and understanding the most effective ways and means to get in front of them. It's not about knocking their doors down, because you're probably not going to be effective that way either, because you're going to make a nuisance of yourself. So it's a little bit about becoming, I don't want to say a player, not a player. I'm definitely not a player, but you definitely have to navigate this business. And the earlier you do it, the better, and the farther you're going to get sooner.
You can't just sit in your apartment and write a script and then wait for the phone to ring.
Not do that. I was just thinking, in my mind while Miko was talking, is do not wait. Do not wait for anything. You have to constantly be going forward, speaking out, saying, hey, here's what I want to do. Tell people. Don't wait for them to recognize that you're amazing, because you might wake up and be 40 something and amazing and nobody paid attention to you.
You don't want to die with your potential intact.
Exactly.
And can I just add one more thing? Also, just the way technology is and about not sitting home. If you want to make movies, then go make one. There was a great movie called Tangerine that was shot on an iPhone 5S, and it's great. Write a great script, get good actors, and as long as you have good characters and people are interested in what they do, because so much of a movie is having interesting characters, people are going to see it. You kind of don't have a ton of excuses. Christopher Nolan shot his first movie for $5,000 on weekends over a year. So don't just sit in your apartment and wait for it. Go do it then if you want to do it.
I love all of that. And I would say surround yourself with people who believe in you and listen to what you're repeating in your own mind and your heart, because you are your biggest champion.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are thinking negative thoughts oh God, I can't do this, then you're going to project that out to the world. So you have to believe in yourself and really have the people around you that believe in you as well, because it takes a team. It is not a solo thing. It takes 100+ people to make a movie, and you need to surround yourself with people who are like-minded, like-hearted, and are willing to go that extra thing, because you need those people to work symbiotically with your vision to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you don't need to yell at people either.
It always comes down to don't be a dick. And that's a wrap. Jeanette Volturno, Miko Winbush, Yolanda Cochran, thank you very much. We cannot wait to watch this season.
Woo! This has been Catch a Break, Project Greenlight Edition. I'm Julie Harris Oliver. I'd like to thank our guests, Miko Winbush, Yolanda Cochran, and Jeanette Volturno. And special thanks to Groovy.com, a dynamic platform that connects people to productions worldwide. Please check out our website at catchabreakpodcast.com and follow us on all the social media. Catch a Break is produced in partnership with Catchlight Studios and the Other 50%. Our theme music, Mantra for a Struggling Artist, was composed by Andrew Jocelyn. Thanks for listening, and be sure to go watch Project Greenlight and then come check us out for the behind the scenes of the behind the scenes. Next up, I'll talk with Jessica Francis Dukes, who plays Isla in the film, and Seth Yanklowitz, the casting director. In the meantime, I hope this helps you to catch a break.